Welcome everyone to tonight's council meeting. I'm the Mayor, Councillor Ranka Rasik. I declare this meeting open at 7:04 p.m. I would like to welcome the members of the public who have joined us in the chamber tonight. Members of the public attending council and committee meetings are expected to behave respectfully at all times and not permitted to engage with the councillors or council officers during this course of the meeting. This includes directing loud and inappropriate comments towards councillors and officers or making noise that impacts council's ability to conduct its meeting. All persons present tonight have a right to be safe and treated with respect. Council will not tolerate any behaviour that threatens the safety of anyone present in the chamber or which disturbs the ability of council to conduct its business on behalf of the community. You will be asked to leave the meeting if your behaviour is inappropriate, disruptive or rude. Due to ongoing disruption experienced at council meetings, all members of the gallery are required to pre-register their attendance at the council meeting to support continuous efforts to maintain a safe and secure environment for all participants while allowing council to conduct an ordinary meeting. In the unlikely event of an emergency, please follow directions of council officers and the emergency procedures on the wall near the door. I would like to note I have given approval for Channel 31 to live stream this meeting. A recording of the meeting will be published on council's website. I'm going to go to item 1, acknowledgement of country. Please stand for acknowledgement. On behalf of Brimbank City Council, I respectfully acknowledge and recognise the Wurundjeri and Bunurong peoples as traditional custodians of this land and pay respect to their elders past, present and emerging. I'll go to item 2. I ask councillors to remain standing for the council commitment. Others may be seated. As the council, we will act in the best interest of Brimbank community and consider the immediate and long-term impact of our decisions. We will make these decisions fairly and without bias. We will uphold all of our obligations under the laws of Victoria and council's local laws, and we will act in accordance with our code of conduct. Please be seated. I'm going to go to item 3. There are no apologies for this meeting. I'm going to go to item 4, declaration of conflict of interest. Councillors, are there any declarations of conflict of interest? Councillor Takos?
Yes, Chair, I have 12.2 on the agenda, which I would like to declare a conflict of interest. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor David? Thank you. Councillor Riley?
I'd also like to declare a conflict for item 12.9.
Thank you. I'm going to go to item 5, designation of items as confidential. Do I have a mover to designate items as confidential? Councillor Papalia?
I move the motion as per shared screen.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor David? All in favour, please raise your hands. Carried. Item 6, confirmation of minutes of previous meeting. May I have a mover of motion to confirm the minutes of the previous meeting? Councillor Jasmine Nguyen?
I would like to move the motion to confirm the previous meeting.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Papalia?
Second the motion.
All in favour, please raise your hands. Carried. I'm going to go to item 7, condolences. There is one item of condolences this evening. 7.1, passing of Judy Ingram. May I have a mover of the motion of this item?
Yes, Chair, I would like to move the motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Borg?
I second the motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Takos, would you like to speak to this motion? We can't hear you.
Sorry, I would like to, on behalf of this council, pass on our sincere condolences to Ian and the family and friends of Judy Ingram, who passed away earlier this month. Judy made a significant contribution to her community through her dedicated volunteer work for over 15 years and her advocacy efforts. Judy's commitment to environmental causes, especially in planting of native vegetation and applying for grant funding, has left a lasting impact on the Maribyrnong Valley. Additionally, her work as a disability advocate through Brimbank Disability Network Group and Brimbank Disability Advisory Committee reflects her commitment to fostering inclusivity and compassion, always ensuring the voice of the people with disability had a platform to effect positive change in Brimbank community. Judy also volunteered with the Brimbank Community Register. During the lockdown, despite her isolation, she made weekly calls to all those in the community with a disability over 50 years of age and ensuring they stayed connected always to the community. Judy's legacy as a tireless advocate and volunteer will undoubtedly be remembered and cherished by those whose lives she touched. And we will always remember her through her fierce advocacy and plantings along the Maribyrnong River. Thank you.
Councillor Borg.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I met Judy during my campaign as a candidate for the Brimbank Council election in 2016. From the beginning, I could see she was a very special woman who was very interested in local government matters and responsibility. I could see that she had very high principles and expected that the prospective councillors to have integrity, transparency, and accountability. We developed a very good working relationship. I had the pleasure to meet her on a regular basis as we were both on the Disability Action Committee. As already mentioned, she was a great advocate for people with disability. As a member of the Friends of the Maribyrnong Valley, she would organize the quarterly newsletter. Whenever there was an opportunity, she would apply for funds. I remember many times she would feel frustrated because the internet was down while she was applying for the grants and had problems navigating her way electronically. But she never gave up. She would persist until she achieved her goals. I'm pleased that I had the opportunity to see her in hospital a few days before she passed away. The serenity on her face left quite an impression on me. I would like to join also Councillor Taukos in passing my condolences to her husband Tian and the rest of the family. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillors, would anyone else like to speak on item 7.1? Councillor David.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just briefly, I think Councillor Tagus and Borg, they said the whole thing about the late Judy. I know Judy for more than 20 years. I visited her house half a dozen times, watching her sitting chair in the small office, and of course Ian, her husband, next door to her at all times. I used to call her encyclopedia, and she was laughing. I used the name, the word encyclopedia, because she knew every bit of water, Maribyrnong River. Any answer, you ask her a question, he gave you the correct answer somehow. But he was very friendly and very strong type of person. She was suffering for a number of years now, but she just kept going. Extremely good person in the community, and I think he very, very sadly missed, not only by his family, but a lot of friends and that he met over the years. Maybe God help her, rest in peace. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor David. Anyone else, councillors? Councillor Dang.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I wish to express my deepest condolences to Judy Ingram family. Echo to Councillor Board.
Just, Councillor, you don't have to stand up or just speak into microphone so councillors online can hear. Thank you.
Echoing to Councillor Board, Councillor Talcott and Councillor David, the passing of Judy Ingram is a loss to the community. Judy was the true leader who inspired many and made positive impact in the community. Her legacy will live on through the memories she created and always in the community's heart. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else, councillors? If not, I put this motion to vote. All in favour, please raise your hands. It's carried. Going to go to item 8, congratulations. There are 2 items of congratulations tonight. 8.1, Sustainability Awards. May I have a mover of this motion? Councillor Riley.
I'd like to move the motion as per the shared screen.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Dang.
I second it. Thank you, Mayor.
Councillor Riley, would you like to speak to this motion?
Yes, Madam Mayor. Last month, Brimbank City Council received a Premier Sustainability Award for the Brimbank Aquatic and Wellness Centre. It is Australia's first 100% renewable energy powered, zero greenhouse gas emissions aquatic centre, providing a leading example of sustainability in aquatic centres in Australia. It won the Community Champion Award in the Sustainable Places category. The project challenges the status quo of traditionally built and operated aquatic centres and provides a working example that can be replicated in Victoria and across Australia. I would also like to acknowledge My Smart Garden, a free sustainable gardening program that operates in various councils, including Brimbank, which also won an award at the event. As the holder of the sustainability portfolio at Brimbank, I would like to acknowledge and thank the staff involved at Brimbank in creating these community spaces and initiatives. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Dang.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Congratulations to Brimbank Aquatic and Wellness Centre and Brimbank City Council on winning the Community Champion Award at the Premier Sustainable Awards. Council leadership and innovation have highlighted the importance of council contribution to sustainable building practice in Victoria. Thank you to all previous term councillors and our staff for your hard work, dedication and commitment have made a significant impact on the environment and the community. Well done all.
Councillors, would anyone else like to speak on this motion? If not, I'll put this motion to vote. All in favour, please raise your hands. And we're going to go to second one, which is 8.2, Best Peers Partner. May I have a move of this motion? Councillor Tarkos.
I move the motion as per the papers. Thank you.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Borg.
I'll second the motion. Thank you.
Councillor Tarkos, would you like to speak to this motion?
Thank you. Yes, we would like to pass on our congratulations to the Chinmama Community Care on receiving the Peace Partner Award at the HWPL Awards. Both myself and Councillor Borg had the honours of attending this event, and it was a great honour for the Community Care Program, which is a non-for-profit organisation. It provides a range of community and social services as well as humanitarian support to communities across Melbourne, and it focuses on the culturally and linguistically diverse. It is so great to see our community represented at this high level and being recognised for their hard work and dedication. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Borg, would you like to speak to this motion?
Yes, thank you. I would also like to congratulate the Shin Myanmar Community Care on winning this award. This association is based in Brimbank. Great to see Jacob and his team winning this award. It's actually the second award they won within few weeks. The other one was the Brimbank Council Community Award, which was presented recently. At the end of the year celebration of peace, This organization was presented this award, which was organized by the HWPL, which is a global non-profit organization dedicated to the cessation of war and the establishment of a culture of peace. Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillors, would anyone else like to speak to this motion? I'll put this motion to vote. All in favour, please raise your hands. It's carried. I'm going to go to item 9, public question time. Mr. Biliver, I understand we have received questions from the public.
Yes, Madam Mayor, we have several questions. The first batch of questions are like questions, and in accordance with Rule 55.14 of the Brimbank Governance Rules, these like questions will be grouped together and you can provide an answer at the end. So I'll go through them individually first. First question is from Graham Bloor. Given that Councillor Rassick moved at previous council meetings a suggested alternative to Councillor Kerr's original motion that drastically reduced opportunity for members of the public to ask questions online with their local councillors, how does this possibly advantage the poor and disadvantaged? To reduce such opportunities by the public from once monthly to quarterly. The second question in this batch is from Lerma Bloor. Can Council please advise how it benefits the ratepayers of Brimbank under then Councillor Rassick's suggested amendments to Councillor Kerr's proposal for monthly meetings, for these to be slashed from 12 per year, optional, to 4 per year? And how does this advantage, in Rassick's own words, the poor and disadvantaged, particularly when they are obliged to lodge their questions 1 week in advance? Third question is Calvin Manhill. So the majority of councillors voted down Councillor Kerr's motion for a once-a-month community forum. How can Brimbank ratepayers feel that they have a voice and feel that their local council have their best interests? Joe asks, why won't you give the people a face-to-face town hall meeting? It goes to show that the Brimbank Council does not care about the people. Maria Kerr idea was such a good thing to do, but the people that voted no, they are not for the people. So start a face-to-face meeting for the people. Finally, Mark Jekic asked, could the council please advise how it benefits the ratepayers of Brimbank under then Councillor Rassick's suggested amendments to Councillor Kerr's proposal for monthly meetings, for these to be slashed from 12 per year, optional, to 4 per year, and how this advantages, in then Councillor Rassick's own words, the poor and disadvantaged, particularly when they are obliged to lodge their questions 1 week in advance. Furthermore, how will reducing opportunities for members of the public to ask questions online actually benefit the poor, disadvantaged, and the public in general? Do you not see this as a hurdle to our great democracy, which should be about the people?
The Council meeting on November 22nd, 2023, Council resolved the public forums will not be introduced at this time. Community members can engage with councillors and the Council through multiple other means, including phones, emails, in writing, online, at consultations, and at community events. Question 2 is referred to question 123/23. We're going to go to question 3, refer to question 123/23, question 4, 5, the same.
The next question is from Graham Bloor. Will Brimbank Council CEO and Mayor, Councillor Rassick, give an ironclad undertaking that no part of the proposed Sunshine Energy Park precinct be set aside either now or in the future for the exclusive use or lease of such land or apportionment by any privately run, owned or leased sports, cultural, religious or social entity of any kind, and if not, why?
Council has endorsed the draft Sunshine Energy Park Vision Plan for community consultation. Consultation has occurred during the second half of 2023. It is proposed that Council will be presented with the proposed Sunshine Energy Park Vision Plan for consideration in early 2024. Formal Council decision will be required to confirm both the principles for the Sunshine Energy Park vision and the detail of how this will release. The use of the site and approach to releasing the vision cannot be confirmed prior to these council decisions.
The next two questions are from Diane Capelli. The first one being, can Brimbank City Council explain what procedures are in place to ensure the decision-making functions of councillors are not influenced by political parties or state or federal MPs?
The Local Government Act 2020, the governance rules and the Councillor Code of Conduct set out Council's decision-making process and requirements to ensure Council represents the interest of the municipality community in its decision-making.
The second question from Diane is, what evidence can Brimbank City Council provide that decision-making functions of Brimbank City councillors are not influenced by political parties or state or federal MPs?
It is each councillor's personal responsibility to comply with the Local Government Act 2020, the governance rules, and the Councillor Code of Conduct in performing their roles.
We have two questions from Peter Robertson. The first question is in regard to diving into recreational pool. This question is not in accordance with our governance rules, the council's governance rules, section 55.11.3, as it deals with a subject matter already answered at the council meeting on 17 of October 2023. So we'll move on to Peter's second question. What are the council plans for next Australia Day? Ratepayers would like to celebrate Australia Day and the history of this great country.
Council does not have plans for an event on Australia Day in 2024. Previously, Council had hosted a citizenship ceremony on this day. In 2024, this will be held on 23rd of January.
Catherine McDonald asks, what policies, practices and protocols have been implemented under Section 46(3)(c) of the Local Government Act 2020, and where can the public access these?
Council's Councillor Code of Conduct details prohibited conduct by councillors, including directing or improperly influencing or seeking to direct or improperly influence a member of council staff. The code is available on council's internet page. Council also has a councillor and council officer interaction protocol, which provides a transparent and consistent process for respectful and clear communication between councillors and council officers. This is an internal policy and not available to the public.
In relation to her first question, Catherine also asks, how are Brimbank City Council staff and councillors made aware of these policies, protocols, etc.?
Policies relating to council and staff interaction are available on council's internet and councillor portal. Councillors and staff are informed of their obligations at their induction, and councillors are provided with regular training and development where this topic is covered.
Claire asks, what message does it send to Brimbank's queer community when almost half of the councillors would not even be bothered to attend the council meeting at which the important LGBTQI+ action plan was to be voted on?
Brimbank Council has adopted its first LGBTQIA+ action plan 2024-2028 to help create a safe and inclusive community that values all people and the diversity they bring through their sexuality, genders, ages, ethnicity, cultures and abilities. It was voted on anonymously from the councillors in attendance.
Claire's second question is, by what means can individual members of the Brimbank community protect themselves against dozens of Nazi thugs, some of which have recent criminal assault convictions, some of which have recently been filmed wielding knives in public?
Council suggests that community members report any safety concerns or incidents to Victoria Police. There are several ways to do this. If anyone is in immediate danger or a crime is occurring, please call the police on 000. For crimes that are not urgent, you can call or visit your local police station in Kilo Downs or Sunshine. Report some non-urgent crimes like theft or property damage online or by calling the police assistance line on 131 444. Confidentially report a crime by contacting Crime Stoppers on 1800 333 000 or reporting online. Visit www.police.vic.gov.au/reporter to find your local police station, report a crime online, or contact Crime Stoppers.
Anna Watts has asked, is there any planned upgrade of the Parsons Reserve Playground as it has become rundown? For example, exposed steel wires, water pooling under swing, and unsafe. For example, there is a toddler playground section that connects to an older child's playground section. It is accessible by toddlers and includes a raised open section with an over 1 meter drop.
Council's playground maintenance team have inspected the site on 30th of November 2023 and have confirmed that repairs have been undertaken to repair damage to the playground net. The softball is scheduled for the up before the end of the year. The combination unit connecting the toddler and older children section has been designed with age-appropriate challenges and skill development in mind. Parental supervision is essential to ensure toddlers don't access areas that exceed their capabilities. A playground upgrade, which will replace the existing equipment, is proposed in the Forward Capital Program. However, this is likely to be several years away and is subject to council approval and budget allocation.
We received a question from Neil Head regarding the Sunshine Leisure Centre creche service. This question has been disallowed in accordance with Rule 55.11.3 of the Brimbank Governance Rules, as it details a subject matter already answered at the council meeting on 23rd of June 2022 and subsequently on a number of occasions via direct correspondence to the submitter. We'll then go to the next question from Bertie, from Shannon Milak. Feedback provided by members of the Brimbank community voice on the draft community engagement policy is in attachment 12.52. As per my access need, I provided my feedback virtually and by email. However, I note my feedback has been omitted from this report. This feedback was vital in ensuring disabled people in our community have a voice on how they are engaged. At the time of writing this, I am due to consult on another policy as a member of the BCV, and again, it will be conducted virtually in a separate consultation to other members due to my accessibility needs. However, I have been advised that my remuneration will be less than those who attend in person. Can you please advise why disabled people with access needs are being paid less than those without access needs? Why our consultations are different to other members when it is not an access requirement, and how I can be sure my feedback will be included in, and if my feedback will now be entered into the attachment 12.52.
The Drive Brimbank Community Engagement Plan provides guiding principles and approaches to promote community participation. Attachment 12.5.2 Brimbank Community Engagement Plan Workshop Session Outputs October 2023 include ideas captured to inform the policy from the in-person Brimbank Community Voice Session held on 3rd of October. Additional ideas and feedback captured outside of the workshop have also been incorporated into the priority themes identified in this report and directly into the draft community engagement policy. Further engagement is planned for following the adoption of the draft policy. The remuneration rate of the Council Plan Annual Action Plan Budget Virtual Workshop is consistent with the in-person Council Plan Annual Action Plan Budget Workshop. The virtual workshop is scheduled for a shorter duration than the in-person workshop due to smaller participant numbers and less time required to physically move participants from one activity to another.
Shannon Milak also asked, attachment 12.62 details feedback provided to council with regards to the new draft complaints policy. Nearly 6% of submitters, including myself, did not have our specific feedback addressed and were instead asked to provide feedback via your complaints email address, stripping any response we received from the public record. Therefore, what is the point of calling for public feedback if Council will not provide feedback on the submission report itself and instead calls for respondents to email Council with feedback they have already submitted?
The community consultation report includes details of all submissions and Council's response. Councillors, we will need to extend question time tonight to respond to all of the eligible questions submitted. Do I have a mover? Councillor Nguyen.
Yeah, Madam Mayor, I would like to extend the question time for at least like 15 minutes.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Dang.
I'll second it. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Would you like to speak to this one? All in favour? Extended.
Our next question is from Lerma Bloor. We actually received two questions that were very similar, and once again, in accordance with Rule 55.14 of the Brimbank Governance Rules, these like questions will be grouped together in a single answer provided. So these questions from Lerma Bloor and Mark Jekic. Can the Mayor or the CEO of Brimbank Council please advise whether there has been any form of communication with VU Development Victoria or any agency or department of the state government regarding the potential sale of VU St Albans campus, and if so, where is this up to? The other part to that question was, could the Mayor and or CEO of Brimbank please advise whether there has been any form of communication with Victoria University, Development Victoria, or any agency or department of the state government regarding the potential sale of VU St Albans campus, and if so, where is this up to?
Council officers are unaware of any current proposal to sell the Victoria University St Albans campus, including communication of the nature between Victoria University, Development Victoria, or any other Victorian government department.
Calvin Manhill has asked, what are Brimbank Council protocols when a councillor is bullied and feels unsafe in their workplace by another councillor?
The procedures and proceedings for councillor conduct matters are governed by the Local Government Act 2020 and Councillor Code of Conduct. All councillors are required to behave in accordance with the standards of conduct as detailed in the Act and the Code. Councillors and officers have a right to be safe and treated with respect at their workplace, and council committees to ensure a safe workplace for all.
Joe asks, what happened to St Albans Town Hall on East Esplanade? It is now a junk shop. The beautiful wood floor are no longer beautiful. This is part of St Albans history. It needs to be fixed.
This building has been in private ownership since at least 1996. When Victoria councils were amalgamated, council officers don't have records of the building beyond this time frame and have no powers over the use of this building now that is in private ownership.
We have received a question from Mark Jekic regarding a personnel matter. However, this question is disallowed in accordance with Rule 55.11.5 of the Brimbank Governance Rules as it relates to staff. Our next question is from Paranzo. Why is it that at every Brimbank council meeting or every council event in Brimbank for that matter, must we all stand for an acknowledgement to country and no national anthem? Is Brimbank Council un-Australian?
In accordance with Council's adopted Reconciliation Action Plan, the acknowledgement of country is recited at Council's meeting. The acknowledgement is a way of showing awareness of and respect for the traditional owners of the land on which we meet or event is being held.
Paranzo further asks, why is it that Brimbank's landmarks are slowly being reverted to its Aboriginal name? What is the point, and has every Brimbank ratepayer been consulted before making such a drastic change?
The Proposed renaming of Sydenham Park reflects Brimbank City Council's commitments to First Nation reconciliation and aim to connect the park's name to a significant traditional owner landscape. Additionally, the park's current name passes a public safety risk due to Sydenham Park not being located within the suburb of Sydenham. As per Victoria's place naming rules, this risks causing confusion for emergency response and transport and mail service when trying to locate the park. In addition, community consultation on the proposed renaming of the Sydenham Park was held for 30 days in November 2023. The consultation was advertised widely on Council social media, Brimbank News, and Library Network. Council officers are currently reviewing submission and will provide a report to Council in early 2024.
Colin has asked two questions. The first one being, do you need to live or work in the Brimbank area to become a mayor and or councillor of Brimbank Council?
To become a candidate at the local council election, a person must be enrolled for the council in which they wish to stand. A mayor can only be elected from the group of elected councillors.
Why was the mayor or any councillor at the consultation for town planning at Sunshine Library a few weeks ago for the Brimbank Council?
On 30th of November 2023, council officers held a community consultation session about the draft housing strategy and neighbourhood character strategy at the Sunshine Library. There was no requirement for councillors to attend this or the other consultation sessions for the draft strategy. Going to move to item 10, petitions. There is one petition to be received. 10.1, objection to planning permit application number P381/2023. May I have a mover for this item? Councillor Lancashire? We can't hear you.
Thank you. I move that the petition be received.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Papalia?
Second the motion. Thank you.
Councillor Lancashire, would you like to speak to this motion?
No, thank you, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Papalia?
Thank you.
Anyone else, councillors, would you like to speak to this motion? I'll put this motion to vote. All in favour, please raise your hands. Going to go item 11, minutes, reports of delegated committees. There are no minutes or reports of delegated committees for tonight. So we're going to go to item 12, officers' reports. There are 16 officers' reports for consideration by council tonight. If you have alternate to amended motion this evening, you must draft this motion and provide to the governance team by email so that they may be shared on screen and form part of the meeting. Otherwise, we may have to defer to the matter until the motion has been written, allowing the meeting to proceed uninterrupted. 12.1, planning activity update and delegate decisions and planning scheme amendments update November 2023. Ms. Deans.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This report presents for noting the status of planning permit applications and decisions made under delegated authority for the month of November, as well as progress on planning scheme amendments where Council is the planning authority or has requested the Minister to prepare an amendment. For the month of November, 82 planning determinations and 25 subdivision determinations were made under delegated authority, while 68 new planning permit applications were received with a total development value of $169.7 million. There are 5 planning scheme amendments currently underway, and in November, the exhibition of Amendment C214 for a development contributions plan and overlay concluded, with a report being prepared for Council in early 2024. Thank you.
Thank you, councillors. Are there any questions for the Director? If not, do I have a mover of this motion? Councillor Lancashire.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move the officer's recommendation.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Papalia.
I second the motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Lancashire, would you like to speak to this motion?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, I would like to say a few words. Certainly the results that are showing up with the planning applications are good news for Brimbank in terms of the amount of work going through. However, I do have serious concerns about one of the amendments, Amendment C225, Planning Policy Framework. Now, this policy planning framework was basically, the bulk of it was requested by the state government for us to rewrite our policy framework in a new format, which required an enormous amount of work from staff, and well done to the staff who went through and completed this work. The amendment has been processed and was submitted to the Minister for approval on the 2nd of November 2022, I believe. Now this is, I think that's correct, 2022. I think that means that this has been sitting with the Minister for a year. It is, now, I think we've had problems with the amendments before, sitting with the Minister for a very long time. And I think there needs to be a better process, and the Minister certainly needs to work at removing these, promulgating these amendments as soon as possible. Look, I just want to conclude in saying that in reference to the Sandon report, which was one council, and the proposals for the state government to intervene in planning processes and to take over some decision making, this, goodness sakes, is an example of where this would be totally undesirable. We've certainly heard where the department is wanting to reduce their staff. I can't see that any of this is good news for the state of Victoria in terms of getting things approved. So my conclusion here is just if the officers are able to take this up, and the CEO, the Mayor, to write to the Minister, that would be good to make sure that this progresses. But we need to make sure that the bottleneck here is not the state government or the department, and it's certainly not council. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillor Papali, would you like to speak to this motion, to this item?
No, thank you, Madam Mayor. I would just like to seek some clarity from the Director just in relation to Councillor Lancashire's comments. I don't know if you'd like to comment.
Thank you, and through the Mayor. We haven't had any correspondence from the Mayor from the Minister in terms of Amendment C225. There has been ongoing discussions with representatives of state government, and we do believe it will be progressing, although we don't have a timeline on when we can expect approval.
Thank you.
Councillors, would anyone else like to speak on this report? If not, I put the report to vote. All in favour, please raise your hands. It's carried. I'm going to go to item 12.2, planning application P141/2023 for 2 Nerida Court, Tellers Lakes. Ms. Deans.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This report presents an assessment of planning application P141/2023 for the construction of 3 double-storey.
Excuse me, Councillor Tarkos. How can we just like?
I need to leave because I'm afraid the
Thank
conference.
you. Yeah, we'll wait.
Also, we can't hear anything, so can you please speak up?
Tony, can you let me know?
So do I just leave?
Yes, we're just waiting for Tony to confirm that you're off. So, Ms. Deans, thank you.
Thank you. This report presents an assessment on planning application P141-2023 for the construction of 3 double-storey dwellings at 2 Nerida Court, Taylors Lakes against the Brimbank planning scheme. A previous planning permit application in 2021 for 4 double-storey dwellings was refused under delegation by Council, and the refusal was upheld by the Victorian Civil and Administrative Tribunal, or VCAT, on appeal. The proposed plans in this report are considered to have responded to the issues outlined in the VCAT decision. The application was advertised in September 2023, at which time 12 objections were received. Following concerns raised in the objections and feedback from officers, the applicant amended the plans and the application was re-advertised in November 2023. In total, 16 objections have been received. Officers have undertaken a detailed assessment of the application and consider it substantially complies with the requirements outlined in the Brimbank planning scheme. The recommendation is to issue a notice of decision to grant the planning permit subject to conditions in attachment 5 to the report. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillors, are there any questions for the Director? Do I have a mover of this motion? Councillor Papalia?
Yes, I move the motion as per shared screen. Thank you.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor David? Councillor Papalia, would you like to speak to this motion?
Yes, I'd like to acknowledge the objectors, and I understand development isn't always welcomed in every area within Brimbank. We do have an affordable housing. I do support affordable housing, and apologise to those that this impacts. Thank you.
Councillor David, would you like to speak to this?
No, Madam Mayor.
Anyone else, councillors? Would anyone like to speak for or against? I'll put this motion or this report to vote. All in favour, please raise your hands. It's carried. So now for next item, we'll just wait for Councillor Tarkos to come back. I'm going to go to 12.3, proposed St Albans marketing and business development special rate 2024-2029. Ms Deans.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This report presents the St Albans Town Centre Marketing and Business Development Special Rate for Council's consideration. At the Council meeting on the 19th of September this year, Council resolved to give public notice of its intention to declare the special rate at this meeting. Public notice of this intention was given, and a notice was also sent to impacted property owners and occupiers providing details of the proposal. During the statutory consultation period, Council received 3 objecting submissions to the special rate, of which 1 was signed by 53 business operators, including the submitter. Council also received submissions outside the statutory consultation period, which have been provided to Council, however do not form part of the summary of submissions attached to this report. Council had a hearing of submissions on the 27th of November 2023 in accordance with Section 223 of the Local Government Act, where 2 objecting submitters presented. A summary of the key issues presented in the objecting submissions is attached to this report for Council's consideration and includes the officer assessment of these submissions. The officer recommendation is to declare the special rate and, among other matters, that the future funding agreement prepared for the St Albans Business Association include additional requirements to improve business communication and engagement in the St Albans Town Centre. Thank you.
Thank you, councillors. Are there any questions for the Director? If not, do I have a mover of this report? Councillor Dang.
Madam Mayor, I would like to move an amendment motion for this at per share screen, please. And the amendment in red color.
Can everyone see that? Just zoom in a little bit more. Would you like to read out your amendment, Councillor Dang?
Yeah, I will talk
Okay.
in that.
Oh, you're going to talk. Okay,
Yeah,
no worries.
I'm
Do I
going
have a
talk in that.
seconder to this amendment? Councillor Papalia?
Yes, I second the amendment. Thank you.
Councillor Dang, would you like to speak to it now?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. Madam Mayor and councillors, St. Alban Business Group had been established for 25 years. They have organized 25 Lunar New Year's Festival, which attract a lot of people from wider Melbourne to St. Albans. And last year, they have about 80,000 people came to the event throughout the day. The special rate scheme had been operating for 10 years, and it has already helped to build a positive image of identity for the centre, as well as a strong sense of community and connection, and also makes a positive contribution to economic performance of the centre. The special rate funds an extensive program of community and business events and activity in St. Albans, such as increased social media, update business contact details and database, refreshed bin grab, advocate on street lighting upgrade, CCTV, and murals. All these activities are designed to promote the St. Albans town centre and attract increased customers to businesses and service located there. The St. Albans Marketing and Business Development specialize in an important way that council support the economic vibrancy of the St. Albans town centres. The management, expenditure, and reporting of the special rate is guided by payment agreement between council and the business association, and all expenditure is monitored closely by council officers. While I know that businesses are also grappling with wider economic issues associated with the cost of living and increasing competition from centres like Water Gardens and Sunshine, the special rate is an important business development initiative that gives St. Albans a competitive edge. Without it, there is no way to provide secure and ongoing funding for these types of marketing and business initiatives. Importantly, we know that economic benefits of the special rate have been confirmed by economist John Henshaw. I am aware that some businesses are concerned about the cost of the special rate and may have received misinformation about it. For many businesses in the centre, the average cost of the special rates is about $450 per annum, which is not an unreasonable amount. An important aspect of the council report is need to improve communication and engagement by the business association with business operations, and that this could be specified in a future funding agreement. However, I would like council to go further to ensure that everyone is receiving the right information about the special rate. I am proposing that in addition to this, that a council officer visit business operator prior to the 22nd December of 2023 that have objected to the special rate, and that they are accompanied by a Vietnamese interpreter, and that they advise the council decision to support the special rate and answer any initial question they may have. I also would like council officer to prepare fact sheet about the special rate that is also produced in Vietnamese and hand delivered to all business operators in St. Albans Town Centre by a council officer, and again accompanied by a Vietnamese interpreter.
We have 1 minute.
I would like this occur the week prior to notice of Levi being sent in January 2024. I would also like council officer to prepare a communication plan by 20 February of 24 to identify the methods and frequency of business communications about the special rate and addressing the need for more information to be translated into Vietnamese. I think these additional communication measures will help business operators better understand the special rate and address some of the misinformation they have received, as well as improve business communications on going forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Papali, would you like to speak to this motion?
I echo the comments made by Councillor Dang and have nothing further to add. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other councillors? Councillor Lancashire?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I certainly would like to speak to, but I just have a question first, just to make it absolutely clear that this will not result in any delay in the implementation of this special rate, that this is purely an additional communication mechanism.
Yep. Thank you, David.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I can confirm that it won't delay. It won't delay the sending out of the notice. The notice was always going to be sent out after Christmas so that it wouldn't come at a busy time for traders. Yes, so basically any of these activities that have been proposed by Councillor Dang can all occur before that notice of levy goes out in the middle of January.
Thank you, Councillor Lancashire.
Thank you. Now I would like to make some comments on this, Madam Mayor. Thank you. Look, I think the additional requirements to notify members of the business community of St Albans by Councillor Dang are to be applauded. We are aware of misinformation that has been circulated as councillors, and this is unfortunate, but it is appropriate that we respond to this back to particularly the Vietnamese community, which have a major stake in this shopping centre, and help to clarify the information about this proposal. Now, in terms of these special rates, as a town planner and director of planning and development in the past, I've been involved in special rates like this going back 30 years, and they have been a fantastic mechanism to help these shopping centres lift their game, to do more for the community, and to act in a more consolidated business environment when they're competing with bigger centres like Sunshine, and particularly corporate centres like Water Gardens. So this is certainly a smaller centre, but a very important centre to our community. This is a very valuable tool to help them act in a coordinated manner and promote their businesses. Now, I've been to a few of the business meetings by the group that operate from the St Albans Shopping Centre Business Association, and it's very pleasing to see how they all get together after hours, and at no cost to this council, they put in their own spare time to help run these things, to help run festivals, to organise
1 minute
activities.
left.
And I think this is to be highly commended by this group. They have done so much for over such a long period for the St Albans business area. So well done to them, and well done to the staff in progressing this special rate scheme. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillor David?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, I'd like to say a couple of words as well. I think I've got to congratulate Councillor Dang for bringing this up in the amendment. I have known the first Lunar Year festival that we had in St Albans, and he lifted the bar every time, every year. And as Councillor Dunn said, last year it was one of the biggest, huge crowd that participated each and every year thereafter. But yes, reading some of the submissions, Madam Mayor, and we had a panel hearing here, it gave me the understanding, and I knew all along, that the defined area within the centre town is owned by Vietnamese community. And therefore, it was always in my mind that we should have someone, and I do like the coordinator, the center coordinator is a fantastic person, very well spoken and a gentleman. But I think speaking to someone with their own language is a different thing. They can understand better exactly what's happening. And it gave me a belief that perhaps some of those people, we had 53 submitting last time with signatures, but I believe they came up with another 60 or something or more. But I think some of those business people there, the traders, they have been misled somehow. And as the Councillor Dan explained, of course, the director mentioned, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, and again it was mentioned tonight, that it's only about $400 a year. That's what it is, and I think it's very right. So we can allow these people to make it better as we go along. And we done quite a lot there. The CC cameras and other bits and pieces there, I think it is needed to be done and is done because of that levy. So I think it's a great idea to support it.
Thank you. Councillors, would anyone else like to speak to this motion? Councillor Nguyen.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
I've had my hand up for a while, sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, Councillor Nguyen and then Councillor Takos.
Okay, yeah, thank you. I would just like to, just reinforce, I think it's fantastic that Councillor Dang has included that amendment to really show that we have listened and consulted throughout the entire period on the whole special rate scheme for the St. Albans area. And I want to acknowledge that there are a couple of objections. I want to acknowledge that there, significant economic, hardships and challenges faced by a lot of people in our municipality, especially in Brimbank. And it's, it can be very hard for businesses to, especially try to recover from the pandemic. However, it's a special scheme because we're acknowledging that the fund for the scheme provides specific special benefits for people within the St. Albans business district, because all the funds go towards the marketing activities as well as events that bring economic benefits to the area indirectly and directly, such as the Lunar New Year festival. And I really want to acknowledge I've also attended a couple of the St. Albans Business Group meetings myself. Honestly, they're very genuine. They volunteer their time to do these extra activities to bring further benefits to St. Albans area and really grow it. And going through the objections that we've received, I would acknowledge, yes, Brimbank Council can always improve on how we work with local businesses in collaborating together to make things better for our community. And over the next 5 years, if we do support this scheme, there are going to be more implementations, such as for example, doing business evaluations after events, and I encourage, if you're a business in a certain area, please don't hesitate to reach out to people in the group. We have a very, very, hardworking office coordinator. But yeah, just please acknowledge that we are always trying to work, and this is a partnership, a collaboration with the council and the local business. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Takos.
I've been involved with the St. Albans Business Association before I was even elected as a councillor. I was a business representative, and they embraced me with open arms. And since then, I have been very much involved in attending a lot of the meetings and seeing the genuine care that a lot of the businesses in St. Albans from a broad spectrum involve and give up their free time to attend the meetings. As a former retail business association.
Sorry, we lost you, Councillor. You
hello?
muted you. Yep.
Hello?
Yep, we can hear you now. Thank you.
Did you hear any of my response?
Yes, we have. Just the last very bit we didn't.
Okay. Basically, the difference between an association that doesn't have a special rate scheme is that it's very hard to maintain any level of involvement and engagement I have attended many of the St Albans Business Association meetings where I am highly impressed with the level of support through the excellent.
Again, we lost you. I think you muted yourself again. You're on mute now.
I
That's
didn't touch anything. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, I'll just finish off here. Thanks.
Thank you. Councillors, would anyone else like to speak on this item? If not, I put this item to vote. All in favour, please raise your hands. It's carried. Which one is this one? This is the next one. So this is the proposed item. Now we're going to go to item 12.4, proposed sale of part of Durham Road car park for the development of a cultural museum. Before Ms. Dean say a few words, I'd just like to mention to councillors that we have to appoint chair of the hearing of submissions committee, and there need to be 2 councillors. My proposal is probably councillors from the ward, from this ward. So 4, 3. Okay. So we need 3 councillors. We'll chair and 2 councillors here. All right. So Ms. Deans, would you like to speak on this item? Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This report proposes that Council commence the requisite statutory process for the proposed sale of part of the council-owned land at the Durham Road car park for a nationally significant cultural museum. Specifically, it indicates that the Vietnamese Museum Australia, or VMA, is interested in locating in Sunshine. The potential construction of the VMA aligns strongly with Council's policy for Sunshine. It builds on committed investment in Sunshine and would be a catalyst for further investment, particularly in the southern precinct of the Sunshine Town Centre, and also a boost for the visitor economy. The Durham Road car park is identified as the preferred site, and it is proposed that Council commence the statutory requirements under Section 114 of the Local Government Act, including publishing its intention of selling the land for at least 4 weeks, obtaining a valuation not more than 6 months prior to the proposed transfer, and conducting community consultation in accordance with Council's community engagement policy. The report includes a recommendation that Council authorise the CEO to sign a non-binding Memorandum of Understanding with the VMA, and following community consultation and the hearing of submissions, that Council receives a further report where it will decide whether or not it will proceed with the proposed sale of land to the VMA. I'd also highlight that this report includes 7 attachments, of which 3 are deemed confidential. Thank you.
Thank you, councillors. Are there any questions for the director? Do I have a mover of the Councillor Nguyen?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to move the motion as per business papers, and for Part J, I would like to us to appoint Councillor Nguyen as the chair of the hearing of the submissions committee, and Councillors Tui Dang and Councillor Sam David as hearing of submission committee members.
Thank you. Yeah. Do I have a seconder? Councillor David? Thank you. Councillor Newman, would you like to speak on this report? Thank you.
Well, hi everyone, and ladies and gentlemen, and esteemed committee members, and my esteemed fellow councillors and staff. I stand before you here today with a profound sense of optimism and pride, advocating for an opportunity that comes pretty much once in a lifetime, or once in a generation at least, to weave the vibrant culture of the Vietnamese community into the very fabric of our Sunshine Business District, more so than ever. I would like to really just thank the Vietnamese Museum Australia Limited for expressing a keen interest in coming to Sunshine and proposing for the nationally, internationally cultural significant museum to come to Sunshine. And I believe this endeavor just really aligns seamlessly with our community's vision for the future, especially considering the Sunshine Party Precinct for Vision 2050. Like, we at Brimbank City Council, we have an aspiration for Sunshine to be the centre of Melbourne's West, and I couldn't think of any other place suitable for having, the first Vietnamese museum in the world talking about the diaspora of the refugee from the Vietnam War to be in our area, especially considering that Brimbank has a very high Vietnamese population. I myself, I am a daughter of Vietnamese refugees, and I have personally experienced the value of preserving and sharing the stories that shape our identity. And, while I had the privilege of hearing my stories from my parents, I didn't have that opportunity to hear it from my grandparents who have unfortunately passed away. But that's why, preserving the legacy and the diaspora of the Vietnamese people in the form of the Vietnamese Museum is so important, because it's, all of us, we all have our legacy that we follow. It's our ancestry, and this museum can be a bridge between generations, connecting us to the past, but also providing a foundation for the future and bringing unity. And, if I hypothetically have kids, they're going to go into the museum. But it's going to be fun. The proposed location at Dong Road Car Park was identified through the Sunshine Station Master Plan. It really complements the broader vision for our municipality, and also acknowledging that throughout this process, we are adhering to the principles of good governance. Like, you'll notice here that the council is proposing a memorandum of understanding, including key terms like the 50-year restriction of the land use, the requirement for timely construction, and really we are wanting to have a partnership with the Vietnamese community in bringing the museum to reality. And furthermore, you'll also notice in the motion that we want to work also with the state and federal government to bring this religion to light. We notice and acknowledge that all levels of government from both sides of the political spectrum support the construction of the Vietnamese Museum of Australia. So yeah, I'm just particularly moved by this opportunity, and just to keep things short, like, this is an museum for everybody, and we'll also have the Brimbank community engagement policy, which encourages us to go out with the community to talk about how can we involve our residents in this decision to build a museum that impacts the broader municipality. And I also want to acknowledge that the Vietnamese Museum of Australia has already partnered with the Sunshine Business Association to deliver key events, including the Sunshine Lunar Year Festival, and there is more to come. So, in conclusion, I just stand before you as a member of the community, as a proud Vietnamese Australian citizen councillor, to urge my fellow councillors to support this motion to bring the Vietnamese Museum of Australia to Sunshine. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor David, would you like to speak to?
Madam Mayor, I don't know what to say. I think Councillor Newman said it all. I saw the journey to Australia a couple of times. Amongst those people, I saw them crying, telling their stories. But really, it takes me back to 2004. I was the mayor at the time, and at that time, it was Pauline Hanson. All of us know. It was on her high at that time. Everybody was speaking about Pauline Hanson. and she was coming to Sunshine according to those times. And I put a press release out that she's not welcome in Sunshine. And I got some letters and some anonymous calls, and they just called me just about everything at the time. But I'm glad that I said that, because this city of ours, we got the #1 community. We were 32,000 people, Vietnamese people, and it'd be more, their children and families thereafter. So I'm glad that they make the base here, and a museum. It be giving a story for the people, for the next generation, and next 50 years perhaps. They'll be going there to see their history, what happened, how did they came here, their journey. So I support the idea. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillors, would anyone else like to speak on this report, this motion? Councillor Dang, and then Councillor Lancashire.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. So the Vietnamese resident in Brimbank making about 17% of the total Brimbank populations. And as Councillor Nguyen mentioned, that this is not only the history of the Vietnamese communities, but it's also for Australia as well, and especially in Brimbank. So support this report. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Lancashire.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, look, I too would certainly like to support this recommendation and echo the words said by the previous councillors in support of this. I would make 3 brief comments, and that is that while we have many great locations, many good locations in this municipality to locate this sort of facility, this particular location has been very well thought through and is a great location. It's right in the heart of what we would see to be a cultural centre of the Sunshine business area, with hotels nearby, with shops, boutique places. It's a very interesting corner of Sunshine. It's not necessarily the main retail office area, which would probably not be the best location for this, but it is in a very interesting area and will add a lot to that character of that area and fit in well with the character of the area. Also, this council has established under Councillor Tarkos a tourism portfolio, and this facility most certainly fits within one of the strings of the bow that we hope to see take off in terms of tourism in this municipality. So it fits in very well with that aspect of it. And thirdly, I would like to say we've all seen pictures of the design of the building. It's a very interesting building, the internal layout, the way it will be set out, and the information that you will be able to walk through and experience is all architecturally very interesting. So there's congratulations to all those involved, and I particularly appreciate the way we've all been brought along
1 minute.
To look at this proposal and to sort out locations. So congratulations to this group, the staff, and of course ourselves as councillors in being able to help out this most worthy cause. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Lancashire. Anyone else, councillors? If not, I put Councillor Riley.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I support Councillor Nguyen's, Councillor David's, Councillor Dang's comments on the Vietnamese Museum in Australia coming to Sunshine. Brimbank has a long history of migration and connection with the Vietnamese community. I also want to echo Councillor Lancashire's comments in relation to this bringing tourism to Brimbank. It's really exciting. One thing I'd like to note is that the lack of parking on the site may present a challenge with residents and community events, but it's also close to the train station as well. So it's very accessible to the city loop too. But I'm looking forward to seeing more of this in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any more councillors that want to speak on this? No? I'll put the motion to vote. All in favour, please raise your hands. It's carried. We're going to go to item 12.5, Draft Community Engagement Policy 2023. Ms. Hill?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The updated draft community engagement policy has been developed using inputs from the Community Voice Panel, councillors and staff. The community engagement policy provides guiding principles and approaches that are key to designing engagement opportunities for authentic community participation. Council is asked to consider the draft community engagement policy for a process of community engagement that will take place in early 2024. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillors, are there any questions for the Director? Do I have a mover of this report? Councillor Borg.
I'll move the report as per shared screen.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Takos.
Sorry, I can't hear very well.
You muted yourself after you said you can't hear very well. We couldn't hear the last bit what you said.
I just said that I second it.
Thank you. Councillor, would you like to speak to this report?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. As a local government, council's engagement with the community is pivotal to serve the community effectively and meet its needs. I still remember when council started working on the community engagement policy during my first term as a councillor and was adopted during the second term in 2021. This report includes the process involved in updating this policy, including a number of workshops that have been conducted with councillors, internal and external stakeholders, and Brimbank community voice. The feedback was highly valuable and is incorporated in the current draft that is presented to Council for endorsement before it comes available to the broader community for further consultation. It's interesting to note the new section entitled Policy Influence to clearly articulate and expand on how community engagement at Brimbank is linked to IAP2 standards and principles. IAP2 is an international organization advancing the practice of public participation. I am very much looking forward to the feedback from the broader community. I commend this report to Council.
Thank you, Councillor Borg. Councillor Takos, would you like to speak to this report? Unmute. Just, you're still on mute. That's it, yeah.
Okay, this is a much awaited draft policy. While setting up the BCV, which is the Brimbank Community Voice Panel, is a really great step in the right direction for improving engagement. It does not substitute, replace, or constitute an alternative to councillor face-to-face engagement, in my view. Whilst it has a broad range of stakeholders, building trust between council and community is not scripted, it's not pre-planned, it needs to be organic, and it involves visibility and accessibility of councillor time for the community. For me, this is a non-negotiable. True transparency, true trust building happens when you are visible and you turn up, not necessarily with all the answers, but you turn up to listen and to engage with the community that elected you. Whether it's participatory, deliberative, or statutory legislated engagement, I have been hearing our community wants us to be present via face-to-face or Zoom, to listen and to be made more aware of our community's needs. Our engagement should not just be project focused. In the last few weeks of my face-to-face casual drop-in meetings, with the community. I have been inundated with interest in discussing many important issues, listening to great ideas, and within 2 hours of weekly meetings, which I have modified to turn into lunch or flexible times that have been really incredibly taken up, the quality of engagement, even small windows of non-customized discussion offers, is what true engagement is about. The people that visit me have been diverse and also people who want to add value to Brimbank and just need support in how they can achieve what they set out to achieve.
1 minute left.
Engagement does not make it does make a difference. But whilst I agree there is a place in the draft engagement policy for a diverse community panel to gauge feedback, people are wanting more than ticker box engagement. They want to be heard and they want councillors to be their voice. I look forward to the community input. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillors, would anyone else like to speak to this motion? I'll put this motion to vote. All in favour, please raise your hands. It's carried. 12.6. BCC final draft complaint policy. Ms. Hill, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The Local Government Act 2020 requires councils to have a complaints policy and process. A review of council's complaints management process identified the need to revise the existing complaints policy to improve clarity, transparency, and customer experience. This report presents the final draft complaints policy following community consultation. The community consultation report at attachment 2 includes all submissions made during the consultation period and council's response. The final draft policy includes a statement of principles as well as providing process details about how to make a complaint, steps around complaint handling and timeframes for resolution. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillors, are there any questions for the Director? Do I have a mover of this report? Councillor Nguyen.
I'd like to move the motion as per business papers.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Borg.
I'll second the report. Thank you.
Councillor Nguyen, would you like to speak to this report?
I'd just like to acknowledge that we've just updated the complaints policy. Thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Borg, would you like to speak to this report?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Effective complaints management by Council is highly important to improve clarity, transparency, and customer experience. This final draft has taken into account the feedback from the submissions that Council received from the community. Suggestions were made to ensure the policy is both accessible and sensitive to the diverse needs of our community will be implemented. I would like to thank the community for their valuable feedback, which is greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillors, would anyone else like to speak on this report? If not, I put this report to vote. All in favour, please raise your hands. It's carried. 12.7 Governance Report, December 2023. Ms. Hill. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The Governance Report is a standing report to Council in accordance with best practice and good governance principles and to ensure compliance with the requirements of the Local Government Act 2020, Councillor Code of Conduct 2021 and Councillor Support Major Policy 2020. Council is asked to consider a summary of recent governance activity, contracts entered into and works orders approved in accordance with the S7 Instrument of Subdelegation, Councillor declarations of representations by Members of Parliament, review of Council's S6 Instrument of Delegation and the Instrument of Delegation of the Environmental Protection Authority, and an open letter from the Mayor to the Minister Chris Bowen, Minister for Climate Change and Energy, from mayors across Australia. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, councillors. Are there any questions for the Director? Do I have a mover of this report? Councillor Papalia.
I move the motion as per shared screen. Thank you.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor David. Councillor Papalo, would you like to speak to this report?
No, thank you.
Councillor David? Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak to this report? I'll put this report to vote. All in favour, please raise your hands. It's carried. (12.8) Advocacy Update, December 2023. Ms Hill, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This report summarises the whole of council advocacy highlights since the last advocacy report was noted in council in August 2023. Highlights include council's successful advocacy calling on the Australian government to recommit $5 billion to construct the Melbourne Airport rail. The report also includes 2 separate advocacy brochures outlining Brimbank's funding priorities ahead of next year's state and federal budgets. These budgets present council with an opportunity to advocate for the necessary funding to continue developing and transforming Brimbank into a thriving place to live, work and visit. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillors, are there any questions for the Director? Do I have a mover of this report? Councillor Lancashire.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move the officer's recommendation.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor David. Thank you. Councillor Lancashire, would you like to speak to this report?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Certainly it was pleasing to see that out of the 90-day review, which took a hell of a lot longer than the 90 days, we did get support from the federal government for the airport rail link. We now need to, of course, continue to push for that decision to be made at a state level. All I can say there is, Madam Mayor, you certainly have your work cut out for you in advocating for that one, but you can expect, I think, some strong support from your fellow councillors to push for that item. The other item, of course, is the Calder Freeway upgrade. And I know that's, Madam Mayor, that's an item that's close to your heart and certainly of keen interest to me. That was not supported. And again, I think you can consider that you'll have strong support from your fellow councillors to push for that item. Now, on the item on page 596, climate emergency, there's a reference there to a solar farm at Energy Park costing $10 million. I just don't understand why that's shown as that. I know that Mr. Walsh and I have met with proponents of the solar industry with exciting proposals to put a solar farm there at no cost to council and in fact pay us for the privilege of using our land. So why we should be paying $10 million there does not sit well with me. Over a year ago, we resolved as a council to put a solar farm at Energy Park and to plant more trees. Both of those items sit well with council policy. The solar farm in terms of the climate emergency policy, and of course the tree planting in terms of urban forest policy. Both of those things are eminently appropriate for Energy Park. But what seems to have come out of that is a proposal which we've been engaging in public consultation on for a $500 million stadium and sports facilities to be located onto a toxic waste dump. This is all becoming, in my opinion, a bit of a dog's breakfast, and the $10 million reference in the report lacks transparency, needs to be independently reviewed, and I just think this is not the way to go in terms of sidetracking our advocacy program. But as an overall report, I certainly support it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillor David, would you like to speak to this report?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, I just mid-year or just early in the year, we had the bad news in reference to the airport railing that it be delayed, and the delay, and I heard rumors that it be going until 2033. I said, might as well forget it. But really, to me, it was like Christmas every time when we had the news just recently that the project will go ahead, and that's a wonderful thing, not just for the city, but a lot of people, business people, investors, and other people that wanted to go ahead with business. they're very happy again. They started to think positive, and it's a wonderful thing for us, for Brimbank. And for me, that's all I have to say, but I'm happy as such, yeah.
Thank you, Councillor David. Would any other councillor like to speak on this report? Councillor Takos?
Yes, I'd just like to say that I support some of the advocacy items. However, in the recent most roundtable, there was also a very strong take up from the Liberal roundtable for public transport reform. I think that needs to be also tabled as a priority in our advocacy as well, given that the waiting time for hopefully getting the state funding for the Melbourne Airport Rail Link, we still need to connect Brimbank to maximise our community, to get to jobs hubs and to get to places they need to get to in an efficient and also affordable manner, because a lot of people are finding financial difficulties in getting to places with cars, getting incredibly built up, and we do want to dissuade people from using cars and using public transport. So I think that needs to be a priority. Also support what Councillor Lancashire said regarding Energy Park. That is community land and it needs to stay with our community. I support the solar farm concept. It's been discussed forever since we've been in our first term, and it is in line with our values and principles for greening and also creating energy in a safe manner and using that space while it sits there and it is still being remediated, using that space to be productive for our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Would any other councillor like to speak to this report? If not, I put it to vote. All in favour, please raise your hands. It's carried. We're going to go to report 12.9, but we're going to wait for Councillor David and O'Reilly to leave the room. So 12.9 is Brimbank Community Grants. Ms. Dumble, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This report requests that Council notes the outcomes for the Brimbank Community Grants 2023 to 24. Brimbank Council has allocated more than $536,000 to non-for-profit community groups and organisations under the grant program, and $63,760 will be allocated to new all-year establishment and responsive grant programs to assist with unexpected and or urgent community needs in 2024. Thank you.
Thank you, councillors. Are there any questions for the director? Councillor Nguyen.
Sorry, can I just move a procedure motion for a quick 5-minute break? I just noticed on screen that some councillors need to go to the bathroom.
Yep, we can do that. So you move the motion to have a 5-minute break?
Yeah.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Papalia? All in favour, please raise your hands. Carried. So we're going to have a 5-minute break. Thank you. Dumble, have you finished? Yes. Councillors, are there any questions for the director? If not, I put this motion to vote. All in favour, please raise your hands. I'm sorry. Yes. 1 second. Have they moved? Have they moved this? No, we have. Do I have a mover? Councillor Newen?
I'd like to move the motion as per business papers.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Papalia?
I'm happy to second the motion. Thank you.
Councillor Newen, would you like to speak to it?
Briefly, I'd just like to say that, yeah, we've gone forward with our community grants process. I would like to thank all the people who applied. And look, just like we've introduced a year-round grants program as well. So if some people applied and didn't get it this time, maybe have a look into the year-round program next year. But like, thank you for everybody who applied and also the staff for going through the applications. Thank you.
Thank you. Seconder, would you like to speak to it?
Just to say thank you for to everybody that was involved, for everybody that took the time to put in an application, and congratulations to those that were successful for applications this year.
Thank you. Councillors, would anyone else like to speak? Councillor Borg?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It's always exciting to see this report coming to Council. The Brimbank Community Grants 2023-24 program consisted of 8 very diverse categories. In Brimbank, we have a very vibrant community groups that range from celebrating their culture of origin to providing psychosocial support at grassroots levels. Important to highlight also a new category for the young people's ideas grants. Great to see such a rich diversity of projects. One such project, including the new ones, is Know Your Place Brimbank, involving young people. And another one that caught my attention was the maintenance, home maintenance training project. Again, considering the diversity of our community, it's great to see such a program going. So congratulations to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Borg. Does any other councillor want to speak to this motion or to this report? No? All in favour, please raise your hands. It's carried. We'll wait for councillors to come back to the room. Now we're going to move to 12.10. Annual Community Report Cards for libraries, neighbourhood houses and community centres, Creative Brimbank and Learning and Youth Job. Ms Dumble.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This report asks Council to note the annual community report cards for library services, neighbourhood houses and community centres, Creative Brimbank and Learning and Youth Jobs. These annual report cards include community usage and project highlights addressing actions and priorities from these strategies. Thank you.
Thank you, councillors. Are there any questions for the director? Do I have a mover of this report? Councillor Takos.
Thank you. I'm making the motion as per business papers. Thank you.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Borg.
I'll second the motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Takos, would you like to speak to this report?
Yes, thank you. I'd like to say that there's absolutely no doubt that libraries and neighbourhood houses have become vital for our community to get together and chat, learn, study, play, build skills and make things, and even planting gardens. There is not a lot, in fact, that our libraries and our neighbourhood houses don't do in the form of community building. I'd like to congratulate Lindley and her department in giving us the updates on all of the tremendous work that they do, such a broad range of activities that really needs to be congratulated. And often when I walk into neighbourhood houses or even the library, I see many types of groups that are doing everything from embroidery to yoga. So it's a safe space. It's good for people to have a safe space to connect through books, media, people in different formats. I'd also like to add that we have got a fantastic Brimbank Bicycle Education Centre, and I know that it's not mentioned here, but I'd also like to acknowledge that the support that they give kids from a diverse background in our community. A lot of kids don't even get to see a bicycle in some of our schools, and when they do arrive to the Bicycle Education Centre, some of them leave able to confidently balance on a bike and find a new sense of freedom. So providing our most disadvantaged and vulnerable access to libraries, to programs that promote health and wellbeing, mental stimulation must also include the fantastic and the community asset that we have with the Bicycle Education Centre. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Borg, would you like to speak to this motion or to this report?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. These report cards provide a great insight into the services and programs provided through libraries, arts facilities, neighbourhood houses, and Brimbank Learning Futures. Such services and programs across all ages provide social inclusion, employment opportunities, lifelong learning, and creativity. This year, Council focused a lot on psychosocial support programs and activities to improve the mental health and well-being. This is very much in line with Council's priorities, as mental health and well-being has gone from bad to worse as a result of COVID-19. I would like to take this opportunity to thank all the staff involved in these programs and services for all their hard work throughout the year and for making them so successful. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Borg. Would any other councillor like to speak to this report? Councillor Nguyen.
Yeah, I would just like to make a special mention of a couple of developments in the library spaces, which are just quite exciting to see. So I just really want to encourage the community to go visit Deer Park Library because they've opened up a maker centre. It's really cool. There's 3D printing, laser cutting, and just there's a lot of skills that you can learn through the maker space that are just going to be very beneficial for you, just in terms of like maybe, yeah, like just really encourage you to go there. But also like the Keilor Library also has an extended outdoor play area as well. And yeah, I find that really exciting. So I just encourage people to go check out those spaces. Thanks.
Thank you. Would any other councillor like to speak to this report? I'll put this report to vote. All in favour, please raise your hands. It's carried. Going to go to 12.11, Community Safety in Brimbank, response to Notice of Motion 2523. Ms Dumble.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The Community Safety in Brimbank report is brought before Council to note the current and planned actions in Brimbank to prevent knife violence in response to a notice of motion in September 2023. The report details the shared responsibility for community safety across government, police, service providers, business and the community. Thank you.
Thank you, councillors. Are there any questions for the Director? Do I have a move of this report? Councillor Riley.
I'd like to move the motion as per the shared screen.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Borg.
I'll second it, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Riley, would you like to speak to this report?
Yes, Madam Mayor. At the September Council meeting, I raised the notice of motion to investigate community safety in Brimbank with a report coming back to Chambers, which is today. The report provides a snapshot of the programs and initiatives currently being undertaken, which can be shared to the wider community. Now as it is in the Chambers, including several Brimbank-based partnerships that exist to support community safety, detailing how Council works with the wider community. I acknowledge this update presented to Council. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Borg, would you like to speak to this report?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Community safety is highly concerning, especially with regards to knife violence. The latest incident happened last week at Kerley Shopping Centre, where a secondary school student was stabbed. Great to see the work being done by Council in conjunction with Victoria Police and other stakeholders, as stated in this report, to improve on community safety. This matter, however, requires a multi-pronged approach, and there is no quick solution. In Brimbank, for example, we require more places where young people can hang around, get engaged and socialize in a safe place. Various suburbs here in Brimbank, including Kerley and Deer Park, have no such places. Besides keeping them off the streets, such places would also be a gateway to other services that they may need, including mental health services. I call on the state government to provide funding for such places. This cannot happen soon enough. This would be a great investment in our youth and society at large. From an economic perspective, the benefits would far outweigh the cost. Once again, I call on the state government to come on board with us to help us deal with this problem at grassroots level.
Thank you, Councillor Borg. Would anyone else like to speak to this report, councillors? If not, I'll put this report to vote. All in favour, please raise your hands. It's carried. I'm going to go to 12.12, Brimbank Aquatic and Wellness Centre, 12-month operational update. Ms Dumble.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This report provides an update on the financial performance of the Brimbank Aquatic and Wellness Centre over its first 12 months of operation. The centre opened in September 2022 and at the end of its first 12 months boasted 10,000 facility members and over 2,500 swim school members. Thank you.
Thank you, councillors. Are there any questions for the director? No. Do I have a mover of this report? Councillor Lancashire.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move the officer's recommendation.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Takos.
I second the officer's recommendation. Thank you.
Councillor Lancashire, would you like to speak to this report?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you very much for this report. This shows the tremendous success of this facility for the people of Brimbank. I think facilities like this are really important. And as Councillor Tarkos mentioned with the Bicycle Education Centre, getting people to do some exercise, losing weight, being fitter, and also giving them skills that may save their life
talking about more money at the time. So I was successful all the way. And for that, thank you all for putting in. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor David. Any other councillors who wish to speak to this report? If not, we're going to put to vote. All in favour, please raise your hands. It's carried. We're going to go to 12.13, Brimbank City Council, Innovate 2024-26, Reconciliation Action Plan. Ms Dumble.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This report requests Council to consider the draft Innovate Reconciliation Action Plan 24 to 26 for a period of community consultation during February 2024. The Innovate Reconciliation Action Plan 19 to 21 community report card is also presented to note the key achievements over this period to December 23. This draft RAP aims to foster greater unity and respect between Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples and the wider Brimbank community. It's a strategic document that outlines the steps Council will continue to take towards reconciliation. It has been developed in conjunction with the traditional custodians Wurundjeri Woiwurrung Cultural Heritage Aboriginal Corporation and Boonwurrung Land Council Aboriginal Corporation and local elders. Thank you.
Thank you, councillors. Are there any questions for the director? Do I have a mover of this report? Councillor Brenton.
That you move the report, but sorry, I move the report as per screen.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Nguyen.
I'd like to second the motion, please.
Councillor Brenton, would you like to speak to this report? Councillor Nguyen, would you like to speak to this report?
That's all good. Thanks.
Any other councillors? Councillor Borg.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It's great to see this report coming to Council. I have been on the journey with the First Nation people since my first term, and we worked very, very hard to develop this reconciliation action plan. And it's great now to see it moving on to the innovative stage. The First Nation people are such wonderful people, and it's such a great honor and privilege to be working with them on this journey of reconciliation. I cannot emphasize highly enough their genuine feelings of working with us and walking on this journey together. So this is another step forward in the right direction. I'm very much looking forward to the community's feedback regarding the draft of this action plan and during the consultation period. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other councillors? Councillor Papali.
Yes, thank you. I would also like to acknowledge this report. I recently have joined the BATSIC committee, and it's been fantastic being part of that group. I would like to acknowledge that we are on a journey of listening and learning, and will continue to work actively in partnership with the traditional custodians of the land, as well as Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who make Brimbank their home. And just acknowledge that the RAP is aspirational and it paves the way for greater respect, inclusion and equity for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people in our community. And just to highlight our vision, that is to create opportunities and ensure accessible services for the local Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander community. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other councillors? I'll put this motion or this report to vote. All in favour, please raise your hands. It's carried. (12.14) Emergency Management Planning, December 2023 update. Ms. Levis. Sorry, Mr. Levis.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This report provides an update on the emergency management activities undertaken in 2023. It covers some of the emergency management preparation undertaken by Council, including Council's involvement in the Municipal Emergency Management Planning Committee, which we call the MEMPSI, a review of the Municipal Emergency Management Plan, which is currently being undertaken, and details of the North West Metro Regional Emergency Management collaboration exercises Trigger and exercise 7700, which were held to test emergency management capability. It also includes information on Council's response to the Maribyrnong River floods and the support provided in response to the fatal shooting in Keilor. The report is for noting and shows the critical role Council plays in preparing for emergencies and in supporting the community when emergencies occur.
Thank you, Councillor Sun. Are there any questions for the Director? Do I have a mover of this report? Councillor Takos.
Move the report as per business papers. Thank you.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Papalia.
I second the motion as per shared screen. Thank you.
Councillor Takos, would you like to speak to this motion?
Yes, I'd just like to thank Chris and Tom and the team behind them, as I have attended the MEP meetings where they have dealt with a vast amount of emergencies. The two ones that we just mentioned, the Maribyrnong River flood event is one that comes to mind, where in particular our the department helped clean with the cleansing and the aftermath after the water inundated a lot of houses in the Keilor area. So I just really like to reach out and thank them for doing that. It was a very traumatic, and it was you know, a very scary event for a lot of people in the Keilor area. Also, the critical incident that happened in Keilor Village, again, the assistance that was provided by the emergency response, the police, ministries, and of course council, which included the recovering after trauma information session, which I also attended. I felt that this kind of wraparound support was such a credit to our team and our council. That we're not just looking at things in a one-dimensional thing, but we're looking at also the psychological impact that a lot of these emergency, and we're getting a lot more of these emergency events happening, like the stabbing as well that Victoria mentioned. It leaves a footprint of trauma, and I think that the good thing about this department, that is, it's acknowledging that, and it's helping our community. So council is to be commended for its responsiveness, its care, its support after unexpected and distressing events, as well as working with all the stakeholders to ensure we are ready, along with other agencies, to respond as quickly and efficiently according to our statutory delegations. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Papalia.
No, thank you. No, nothing further to add. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other councillors? I'll put this report to vote. All in favour, please raise your hands. It's carried. 12.15, contract number 24/3424. Asphalt resurfacing works. Yes.
Chair, I would like to request that reports 12.15 to 12.16 as like items be moved and considered by council in a block.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Papalia.
I second the motion.
All in favour, please raise your hands. It's carried. So we're going to move them in block. We move them in block, and we're going to do it together. So 12.15, 12.16. So 12.15, contract number 24/3424, 2324, asphalt resurfacing works at various roads, package area 1 and package area 2, and report contract number 20/2845, supply of tyres and related services. Thank you, Mr. Levis.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll give an introduction to both reports, if that's okay. I'll try and keep it brief. The first one, as you described, is for asphalt resurfacing works. It's for two packages. It's based on a bill of quantities totalling approximately $4.5 million. The contract's for a total of 51 segments in this year's Capital Works program. And following tender evaluation, officers have determined that Asphalt Tech is best placed to be awarded the contract for both packages. This tender delivered a favourable financial outcome, leaving approximately $482,000 of funding allocated in this year's capital works program for this rehab program, which officers now propose to allocate to the next highest priority roads. These would be tendered separately and subject to successful award and project completion would help to address the renewal gap and would further improve the condition of Brimbank's local road network. So I recommend that to Council. The second report is for Council to consider the extension of a contract for the supply of tyres and related services for a 2-year period. Officers recommend that Council approves the extension with MPT Vic, who are trading as Moonee Ponds Tyre Service, for a 2-year period to January 26, based on an agreed schedule of rates. They're the current provider of the service and have been deemed to be providing good value for money. The value of the extension is just under $1 million, including GST per annum, and I recommend that to Council.
Thank you. Do I have a mover of those 2 reports? Councillor Lancashire.
Madam Mayor, I move those 2 reports.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Papalia.
I second the reports. Thank you.
Councillor Lancashire, would you like to speak to those 2 reports?
No, thank you, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Papalia.
No, thank you.
Any other councillor? Would anyone like to speak to those 2 reports? I put these reports to a vote. All in favour, please raise your hands. It's carried. I'm going to go to item 30, notices of motion. There are 3 notices of motion for this meeting. 13.1, public transport. Notice of motion 31/23. Councillor Virginia Takos.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move the notice of motion as per shared screen.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder for this motion? Councillor Kerr.
I second the motion as per the shared screen.
Thank you. Councillor Takos, would you like to speak to your motion?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Brimbank is such a large municipality with more than 200,000 people, which will increase within 34,000 people in the next 15 years. Despite existing rail infrastructure and bus services, Brimbank suffers from chronic transport disadvantage with insufficient local transport opportunities to enable residents to access services, facilities, programs and employment. Brimbank is also second most disadvantaged municipality in Greater Melbourne and 3rd most in the whole of Victoria, which further exacerbates this issue. Significant investment in transport projects is needed to meet current and future population growth. Within the bus network, there are service gaps across the municipality and a lack of connectivity to those jobs hubs and to services. Infrastructure Victoria recently released a research report that found that a fast, fair and better connected bus network is needed for Melbourne and that a comprehensive reform of this network is needed. The report found that buses can provide faster and more frequent services, operate for longer hours and use routes that better connect shopping precincts, train stations and other activity centres and will give more people access to public transport, reduce road congestion, improve social equity and cut Victoria's transport emissions. This is consistent with all our advocacy and Lead West advocacy as well. I cannot emphasise enough the need for improved transport services in Brimbank. I think we're really in a good location to organise one of these forums. In fact, people said that Brimbank is well positioned to organise a transport summit to provide an opportunity for the state government to hear more about our transport needs of our community. I'm calling on the state government to organise a transport forum ASAP in Brimbank to provide an opportunity for government, community stakeholders to come together and discuss what is needed in Brimbank and Melbourne's West. The forum is an opportunity for the state government to actually engage with it and listen to our community and also those pockets of disadvantage that have been constantly neglected by this government need to be activated with better transport access. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Kerr, would you like to speak to this motion?
No, thank you.
Any other councillor? Councillor Bourke?
Councillor Takos covered this matter very well, but I just want to add with regards to the problem that we have with public transport and connectivity in relation to jobs. Recently, Councillor Takos and myself had a meeting with the Community Engagement Coordinator from Melbourne Airport. We met her during the opening of the Sydenham Park, and we suggested that we have a meeting with her. And she brought along also the government relations manager, who, amongst other things, said that Melbourne Airport currently has got a lot of jobs available in various areas. It doesn't stand to reason. Here we are, a municipality adjacent to Melbourne Airport, and yet we have so much unemployment and people cannot travel to the airport for various reasons, especially lack of transport and lack of private cars, but more importantly, lack of public transport. And this summit would be highly welcomed in Brimbank, in our municipality, where it is so highly needed. Thank you, Councillor Takos, for moving this motion.
Thank you. Any other councillors? Councillor Lancashire and then Councillor Papali.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I too would like to congratulate Councillor Tarkos for raising this matter, and would also support the words of Councillor Ball. Lead West has one of its top priorities of advocacy is public transport bus networks, and it's very clear that the way the buses make their way through the western suburbs is certainly like a bit of a dog's leg and a convoluted approach. There have been very clear academic and transport engineering proposals to streamline that and improve the transport network. So we certainly do need to have a summit, and Lead West is certainly taking a role across the West, and to have this proposed summit in Brimbank is to take all those ideas further and to add weight to the work of Lead West is certainly strongly supported. Congratulations. Thank you.
Councillor Papali.
Thank you. I would also like to commend this report and Councillor Takos for putting this together. Transport is a huge barrier to obtaining employment, particularly in our community. We have unemployment as a problem for Brimbank, and this is especially happening for young people who haven't yet saved that money to buy their own car, and their family car is utilised, or their family may not be able to drive. I've heard stories of young people talking to me about travelling over 2 hours, taking different forms of public transport to get somewhere that would take you about half an hour or 40 minutes by a car. So I commend this report to my fellow councillors and hope that we see some action in this space. Thank you.
Any other councillor? I'll put this motion to vote. All in favour, please raise your hands. It's carried. We're going to go to 13.2, compensation for aircraft noise. Notice of motion 3223, Councillor Takos.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move the motion as per shared screen.
Thank you. Do I have a second on this motion? Councillor Papalia.
I second the motion as per shared screen.
Councillor Takos, would you like to speak to your motion?
Thank you. Under the Western Sydney Airport Plan, the Federal Department is required to develop a noise insulation property acquisition policy in relation to aircraft overflight noise for buildings outside the airport. Like Melbourne Airport, Western Sydney Airport will operate 24 hours a day without a curfew. The Western Sydney Draft Environmental Impact Statement, or EIS, was released on the 24th of October 23 for public exhibition and examines the impact of proposed flight paths on the environment and the community. It includes noise insulation and property acquisition policy, or NIPA, and eligibility criteria. The eligibility requirements for inclusion is based on the aircraft noise results and includes treatments for residential and non-residential buildings within the ANEC 20 or with the internal noise objective to achieve noise levels of 50 decibels or below in bedrooms and living spaces. To date, no compensation scheme for noise attenuation has been proposed in relation to Melbourne Airport's expansion, despite the same impacts on our communities surrounding the airport. In May 22, Council lodged its submission objecting to Melbourne Airport draft master plan and preliminary draft major development plan for the third runway because it would have unreasonable and unacceptable impacts on the health and well-being of Brimbank community, particularly in relation to aircraft noise. Council formed this view after it commissioned an independent health risk assessment to identify that noise insulation programs were required for residential, schools, childcare and early learning centres, aged care facilities and public buildings like libraries, community centres within the ANEF 20 and 25. In the case of Melbourne Airport, no genuine consideration has been given to health implications for Brimbank residents or any effective ways to reduce and mitigate these impacts. Specifically, Melbourne Airport's draft master plan forecast noise levels in ANEF at 20 and 25 exceed the WHO noise guidance threshold for annoyance, sleep disturbance, and cognitive development in children. Why does Western Sydney Airport get a noise compensation scheme but not Melbourne? Why is it that our community in Brimbank is treated differently to Sydney? Council submitted to the federal government it must develop a noise compensation scheme for Brimbank in the same way that it's undertaken for Western Sydney Airport. This proposal received support most recently from the NGA Assembly and the ALGA or ALGA in June 23. The Assembly endorsed a motion submitted by Brimbank City Council that ALGA advocate for Australian government to establish a compensation scheme for airport impacted communities. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Papaliu.
I think Councillor Tarkos has covered everything. I was going to highlight the health concerns that were found in the independent report commissioned by Council and just remind our community of those and the importance of a mitigation strategy. So I commend this report. Thank you.
Would any other councillors like to talk on this motion? If not, I put this motion to vote. All in favour, please raise your hands. It's carried. We're going to go to 13.3, shortage of police officers in Brimbank. Notice of motion 33/23. Councillor Tarkos.
I'd like to move the motion as per shared screen. Thank you.
Thank you. Do I have a second of this motion? Councillor Kerr.
I second the motion as per the shared screen.
Thank you. Councillor Tarkos, would you like to speak to your motion?
Thank you. Look, we all know that Brimbank has been operating with reduced police numbers for some time now. During an interview on the 20th of October, the Police Association Secretary Wayne Gatt spoke about the overwhelming police shortages in Victoria, but particularly in the western suburbs. He went on to highlight the situation in Brimbank as especially challenging. Mr. Gatt noted that this was impacting how police were able to do their jobs, including what they can do and how quickly they can get to jobs and incidents. He also stated police stations in the area have been relying on overtime to fill minimum shift numbers, placing strain on those officers. The reduced hours in Peel Downs Police Station is a strategy to free up more police. It was reported that Peel Downs Police Station reception hours will be reduced from the 16th of December from 24 hours to just 8 hours per day. Council has not been provided on an end date on where the 24 hours will be starting. I am really concerned about putting limits on the access for our community to have access to the local police station and how the impact of reporting incidents, especially in the lead up to Christmas time, which we know is a time where incidents can spike and issues arise. To have this reception closed will put additional pressure on the Sunshine Police Station. Brimbank community have got a right to be safe just like everyone else. Data from the 22-23 financial year shows that the rate of total crime in Brimbank is 21% higher than metropolitan Melbourne. While there are a number of reasons why crime rates are higher in Brimbank, it demonstrates the need for effective policing and resources, including both the restoration of the police numbers and 24-hour manned police stations. In conclusion, I remain very concerned about the significant shortage of police officers in Brimbank and the proposed reduction in hours of the police station in Keilor Downs. The safety of our community is of paramount importance and is being undermined by these measures. I just want to highlight that family violence is an example where I feel that sometimes families are looking for a safe space to go to report an incident. This will not be available to them anymore in Keilor Downs. And it's going to be difficult for some people to get to Sunshine, and Sunshine will be also inundated during this period, I imagine. It's also not fair on the police officers who require that adequate staffing to know that they've got backup. So in short, I'm calling on the state government to address this issue and to support the safety of our entire community. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Kerr, would you like to speak to this motion?
Yeah, look, this is just another example and slap in the face to the Keilor Downs community. The closure of this police station overnight means that there's not a police station available to our local community between Sunshine and Melton. It's no secret that the police are actually currently leaving in droves, and that's why they can't even fill shifts. They're calling for a pay rise. They're having to babysit drug-affected people in hospitals for hours and hours and hours, and people are calling the police for urgent assistance, and they're not getting seen or even responded to in some cases. So I call on the state government, especially the Minister for Police, Anthony Carbines, MP, and the local member for St Albans, who should be advocating for her community. This needs to be reversed. The Keilor Downs community deserves some representation. So I call on the state government to take the plight and actually man this police station 24 hours. We have an ageing population in Keilor Downs. People don't know how to lodge a report on the internet. They get confused with the phone system. They want a police station where they can actually enter into. So I call on the state government to stop putting our residents at risk. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other councillors? Would anyone else like to speak? Councillor Lancashire.
Just briefly to say that I'm certainly aware of many police officers who are off on stress leave, and it's a consequence of the shortage of numbers, the tasks that they have to deal with. This becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy of degradation of our police force with these sort of problems, and people like great people working in the police force who are just totally stressed out, and as has been mentioned, leaving the police force. And we certainly need to do a lot more in this space. So again, I agree with the words being put forward by Councillor Tarkos, Councillor Kerr, and thank you very much for raising this matter, Councillor Tarkos. It's very important for the safety of our community. We need to look after our police force and get those numbers back up. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other councillors? Would anyone else like to speak to this motion? I'll put this motion to vote. All in favour, please raise your hands. It's carried. Sio, is there any urgent business for tonight?
There is no urgent business, Madam Mayor.
There are no items of confidential businesses for tonight, and thank you all for attending and for your interest in tonight's meeting. I declare this meeting closed at 9:38 p.m. I struck channel 31 to stop live streaming this meeting. Thank you all.
And